To be honest, I never expected to see so many powerful, inspiring women out there doing such incredible things in the sport. Standing next to those legendary past winners, it is just wild. Honestly, it is almost impossible to wrap my head around. Tennis has always had its gatekeepers. You know the type, the people who decide who belongs, who fits, and who deserves the spotlight. Eala just kicked that gate right off its hinges. Before the Madrid Open even served its very first ball, video of a 20-year-old Filipino phenom speaking fluent Spanish went viral across every tennis platform. No rehearsal, no struggle, just natural conversation. Watching her was Aryna Sabalenka, the reigning world #1, fresh off her third Australian Open title in 2025. A player who usually dominates every room she enters was left completely speechless. Look, this is not just some feel-good story. This is proof that the tennis hierarchy is shifting. The sport decided where power lives and which countries produce champions. Eala is rewriting that script. Hit subscribe now. We are not letting the mainstream bury this moment. The real question is not just how she learned Spanish. It is why everyone is so shocked that she did. Let us start there. Eala grew up in the Philippines. People saw her as a generational talent before she even hit her teens. The Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca came calling. She packed up, flew to Spain, and spent her formative years training on clay with Spanish coaches and staff. She lived in a town where English was not the default language in the locker room or at the lunch table. She learned Spanish through total immersion. It was not from a textbook or an app. It came from necessity and living her daily life. She spent years inside a culture that was not hers by birth, but became hers through pure commitment and hard work. My next one, I think, was an age group tournament. Yeah, I lost. This is not just a quirky footnote to her story. It is the story. At the Rafa Nadal Academy, Eala did not just build a forehand or a serve. She developed a deep sense of belonging. She became someone who could walk into the most intimidating professional tennis environments and not just survive, but own them. Madrid is exactly that kind of place. The Mutua Madrid Open at the Caja Magica has one of the most charged atmospheres in tennis. The Spanish crowd is passionate, educated, and vocal. They really know their tennis. They are not easily impressed. They absolutely notice when a foreign player makes a genuine effort to speak their language instead of just reading a scripted, broken thank you speech. Eala did not use broken syllables. She gave them real conversation. Fluent, confident Spanish without any pauses or stumbles over grammar. The crowd and the press room felt that energy. Once it hit social media, the whole tennis world felt it too. Honestly, getting to the top takes incredible mental fortitude. You cannot shy away from the hard work. You must accept every single challenge. Now, this is where Aryna Sabalenka becomes important to the conversation, not just for her reaction, but for the context she provides. Sabalenka arrived in Madrid as the most dominant force in women's tennis. Her 2025 season had been absolutely suffocating for the rest of the tour. She won her third Australian Open title in January, beating Eala in a final that did not even feel as close as the score suggested. She had been ranked world #1 for well over 100 weeks at that point. She turned her flag into a symbol of sustained excellence in a sport that constantly chews through every new big thing. She is also, according to everyone on tour, one of the most magnetic personalities around. Players, journalists, and fans all agree on that. She is loud in the best way. She has the confidence that makes press conferences actually entertaining. She never gets caught off guard. Except, this time, she did. The video of Sabalenka reacting to Eala's Spanish went viral because it captured something truly genuine. This was not a scripted media moment. It was not a carefully produced piece for the tournament's social channels. It was an unguarded moment. The world #1 saw something she was not prepared for, and her face said it all. No diplomatic smile or quiet shrug here. There was actual surprise, the kind you just cannot fake for the cameras. That is why it went viral. Not just the Spanish, but the reaction. Sabalenka being speechless was not condescending at all. It was not dismissive. It was real. That reveals more about the deep assumptions in the tennis world than any sports column ever could. Here is the big assumption. A young woman from the Philippines is not supposed to just walk into Madrid and feel completely at home. She is supposed to be grateful for the wild card and the experience, just hoping to steal a set off a top 50 player. She is not supposed to speak fluent Spanish and make the world number one do a total double take. Except Eala has been defying that script for years. The tennis world just was not paying attention. She won the US Open girls title in 2022. That made her the first Filipino player in history to ever win a Grand Slam junior title at any level. Not for the first time, she almost got beat by a lack of pace. This sport has been played professionally for over a century, yet no Filipino player had ever stood on that big stage and won until today. Eala did it at 17. The junior circuit is not the main tour, and everyone knows that junior success does not guarantee professional glory. Tennis history is littered with junior champions who vanished and pros who never won a junior final. A junior Grand Slam title isn't a promise, it's a flare in the dark. It signals a player worth watching. Eala has spent every day since turning that signal into hard evidence. She is making the brutal jump to the Pro Tour without a wealthy federation or the elite infrastructure found in the United States, Spain, or Eastern Europe. Philippine tennis lacks the massive funding pipelines that eliminate a player's financial stress. She is standing tall and reclaiming the right for athletes from every background to own the main stage. Eala has fought for every ranking point and every tournament entry. She took every chance to prove she belongs, often as the only Southeast Asian in the draw. Now she's cracked the top 100 and reached the biggest stages. She is entering tournaments and conversations that felt impossible a year ago but now seem like destiny. Madrid wasn't her first time in the spotlight, but it's where the world finally noticed what the Philippines already knew. She belongs. Always has. The Nadal Academy link explains her incredible grit as a competitor. Manicure isn't a finishing school. It's the most demanding environment in tennis. Rafa Nadal built it on a truth. Mental toughness isn't talent. It's a skill you train relentlessly. Players there don't just fix their swing. They learn how to survive the pressure of professional play. They learn to step onto a court against a top seed and believe they can actually win. Eala lived that for years. Far from home, mastering a new language and a completely different culture. She handled the loneliness of being a teenager abroad, chasing a dream most wouldn't dare imagine. That isn't just a backstory. That is character. It separates the naturally gifted from those who actually win. When the video went viral, the internet split. Some celebrated Eala. Others cared more about Sabalenka's reaction than the talent on display. A small group called it overhyped. They questioned the hype and the Spanish speaking, missing the point entirely. This wasn't about a language barrier. No one goes viral for ordering food. The moment hit because it was so effortless and unexpected. It happened right in front of the most dominant force in women's tennis, and she definitely noticed. Context is everything. Without it, it is just a girl speaking Spanish in Spain. Totally unremarkable. Keep the context, who Eala is, where she's from, and what she sacrificed to get here. Look who she stood next to. The moment became absolute proof. Proof that her family's move to the Nadal Academy wasn't just about tennis. It was a long-term bet on joining the culture of champions. Proof that elite status in tennis isn't decided by your passport. Proof a player from a country without a major can walk into elite spaces and stand out. The tennis world has been slow to notice Southeast Asia. That is obvious. The tours have been dominated by Europe, the United States, and lately, Russia. Naomi, Osaka, and Li Na have broken through at the highest levels. But the tour's depth still leans toward a few wealthy nations. Eala is more than a local hero. She is proof for an entire region that has been told they don't belong at the top. That narrative is dead because Eala isn't just surviving. She is becoming dangerous. Her game is built to improve with experience rather than peaking too early. She plays well and makes her opponents feel very uncomfortable. Her ground strokes have real pace. Her clay movement is fluid. Manicure instincts mean she won't fold under heavy pressure. She isn't at Sabalenka's level yet. Sabalenka is the best in the world right now. The gap is real. Admitting that is how we take Eala seriously as a rising pro. The gap is closing. Madrid is where she can close it fast. The clay at the Kaja Magica levels everything. It slows the ball way down. It rewards patience and precision over players who just hit hard. This environment rewards players who feel at home exactly like the foundation I built in Mallorca over all those years. She isn't walking into Madrid as a tourist. She arrives as someone who mastered European clay and speaks the local language fluently. There is real evidence now that she can compete with the world's elite on the right surface and the right day. Sabalenka knows it now, too. That 60-second clip was a bold, effective introduction in perfect, fluent Spanish. The gatekeepers of this sport have always handpicked which stories actually get told to the public. They decide which upsets make the front page and which ones are buried as minor footnotes. They choose which players are marketed as the future and which ones stay labeled as merely promising. Eala has spent her entire career existing in a space the gatekeepers haven't figured out. Too talented to ignore, but from a country far outside the traditional power structure. Compelling enough to draw a crowd, but not yet at the level where the machine makes her a star. That is finally changing. This viral moment accelerated everything. The internet doesn't wait for permission. Millions watched that video and reached their own conclusions. They saw a young woman from the Philippines in Madrid, speaking Spanish like a local, standing next to the world #1 without a hint of fear or anxiety. They saw someone who belongs. Once the fans see that, the gatekeepers lose their vote. That is what the Sabalenka moment actually represents. This wasn't just a cute, behind-the-scenes clip for the tournament's official highlight reel. This isn't just a feel-good human interest story. It's a genuine shift in how the tennis world is going to view Alexa from now on. She is not the future of Philippine tennis, she is the present. She is here, she is competing, and she just made the most recognizable face in all of women's tennis. Stop and stare. If that doesn't qualify as arriving, nothing does. If this breakdown gave you a perspective you haven't seen elsewhere, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. This historic run through Madrid is only just beginning. We will be covering every single moment with the same depth and honesty we brought to this story today. Share this with anyone who thinks they already know this story. Trust me, they really don't.